I've been streaming on Twitch, I think like 5 or 6 years. It's been a really long time. And this is how I got started with YouTube. I streamed on Twitch and I started with games. And, I used to play all kinds of games, indie games, whatever. I tried to play and build a community there. Here, playing games. And that worked out great. But what I found was, well, if I'm streaming games, I'm not doing HomeLab stuff. And so, I've always bounced between HomeLab and gaming, HomeLab gaming. But when I was streaming games, that took up a lot of my time to where I couldn't get to HomeLab stuff. And so I decided to kind of flip it around. Well, what if I create YouTube videos about HomeLab stuff and maybe still play games on Twitch? And that's kind of how I got onto YouTube. It was actually Twitch. It was me trying to grow my Twitch channel. I went to YouTube and started creating video on demand, basically content that's not live. And that snowballed and grew, and I continued to do this for a long time. So I've been doing this like 6 years. It used to be Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I mean, you guys probably don't even remember that because it was a long time ago when I used to go 3 days a week, and then I changed it to 2 days a week, and then I changed it to 1 day a week. And now I'm making one more change, which is I'm going to stop streaming on Twitch for a little while. I guess I shouldn't be super passive about it. I'm just going to stop streaming. I don't want to say for good because it's not really for good, but how do I even say it? Like I'm not quitting streaming, but I'm not going to have a regular stream anymore. And thank you. On a regular schedule. That's probably a better way to put it. I've been streaming on Saturdays for years. Like I tried to switch it to Fridays. And that kind of worked, but then it didn't really work. And I thought, well, I'll go back to Saturdays. So between Friday and Saturdays, I've streamed for, 6 years, something like that, crazy. And I don't even know what people do on Saturdays because my Saturday is always like, hey, I'm going to stream, which kind of breaks my day up. It's at an odd time, which it's 3 local here, which means, if my wife and I do something in the morning, I got to hurry back to be here. And then if we want to do something in the evening, we have to wait until I'm done and then hurry up and go to friends' cookouts and all that stuff. So I've just been doing this. Like she'll go places and do things, and I'll be doing this like she is now, because she thought I was going to be streaming, which I am. But that aside, outside of like, hey, it's taking up time to be a normal human being on Saturday. And spend time with my wife and do stuff with her and go and do stuff and just not have to think about like, oh, I have this thing to do in the middle of the day. Not like it was any kind, like this is not a burden on me at all. Like I love doing it. I love coming here. I love talking it. Like who wouldn't want to get on their own platform and talk about tech stuff or something they love all the time? And so that's what I've loved doing for a long time. And it's how I found most people that like HomeLab stuff because, 10 years ago, I thought I was like the only one. Like I knew no one in the world personally who had a server in their basement, and I've had one for 15, 20 years, something like that, old PCs. But so anyways, that's how I found a lot of people. And, and that's how I've just enjoyed doing it over a long period of time. And so, so there's that. Like I'm not like tired of streaming. I love streaming. But something else that I told myself, hey, dude, thank you. Thank you. Hey, dude, thanks for the bits. Whoa, was that? Wow, 1,000 bits. Thank you so much. Vac Industries, thank you, dude. 1,000 bits. Thanks for all you do, man. Looking forward to the future. Yeah, thank you. Me too. It's never been a burden to me. I like doing it. I love doing it. But something else I told myself at the end of 2024 was like, I need to get content out faster. And if you heard me on, Twitch every now and then or Discord, I'm just like, how can I get content out faster? It's usually on Twitch because that's where my mind kind of wanders. And I'm like, man, I wish I could get stuff out faster. And that's kind of my goal. And so I've been trying to like cut out stuff that is getting in the way of me creating content faster. And it sounds like it kind of sounds like an oxymoron because I am creating content. I'm creating live content and then I'm cutting it up and putting it into VODs and putting it on YouTube. But my goal is to create stuff on my main channel faster. Even my secondary channel, because technically I have 3. And so that's kind of been my goal. And I've been like trying to like, okay, do I work more at night? Do I get up earlier and work? You know, I have to work out. I still have to work sometimes, you know? And so there's like less time for me to carve out to get more time back to do that. So, you know, I was thinking and talking with my wife last night, and she was super surprised, and she's still going to be like, seriously, are you serious? Probably when she gets home. But you know, I need to try this. I need to like get 4 to 5 hours back on a Saturday, either to be kind of a normal human being, which by normal human being, I mean like I'm going to do some stuff that I like to do and maybe play games or something. I don't know. It's not going to be that, you know, most likely I'm going to be here hacking away or working on videos like I have going on back here. But that's kind of what's going on. And you might think like, oh, hey, like, I know you guys aren't thinking this, but I feel like I have to explain myself more. You know, you might think like, hey, it's an hour every Saturday. That, you know, that's not a lot of time. This is like, you know, I'm trying to think through like what people might think and trying to address that. And I know you guys don't think this, but I got to say it for like public, just in case, like, you know, because I'll post this on the channel. And so speaking of that channel, you know, even though it looks like it takes an hour a day on a Saturday, once a week, it's actually a little bit more than that. There's prep. I'm always late. And the reason why I'm late isn't just because I want to be late. It's usually, you know, messing around, getting stuff going. There's the 15 to 20 to 30 minutes before that I really can't start anything because I know I'm gonna start streaming. Doesn't really count. And then there's the stream that happens. I'll say it's an hour. But after that, I still do stuff. Like, you know, I end up taking this VOD. I download it. I edit it. You know, create closed captions. I create thumbnails. I create links. And then I post it up on my other channel. And then I go through it 2 or 3 times to create all of the chapters. And, you know, that's another 3-4 hours total of all that. And then I got to promote it and tell people about it and all this stuff. So, you know, that's 4 or 5 hours I would kind of love have back, at least to try to, you know, again, grow my YouTube a little bit more. So, and that's kind of it. It was kind of like spur of the moment last night when I started thinking like, oh my gosh, like I've been working on this video back here for a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And I haven't even gotten that video out yet. You know, if it's getting to be 2 weeks on a video for me, I feel like I'm behind. Which I kind of am because I like kind of went crazy and like opened all kinds of pull requests and wrote a whole bunch of code and figured some stuff out. But you know, I just want to be able to get stuff out faster and on one of my 2 channels. You know, and I want to keep, you know, Twitch for more. I'm going to keep it around, but I just want to kind of put live streaming now for special things or for things like, hey, I'm going to play a game today and I want to stream, you know. I don't know, who knows, but I kind of want to reserve that now for like, you know, I don't know, special things. Not that this isn't special, but you know, it's hard sticking to a schedule. For anyone who's ever done a schedule, I mean, you guys have work schedules, but imagine if, you know, every Saturday at 3 o'clock, you had to do something for 1 hour, you know, and, you know, extrapolate that out. Think about, you know, vacations, weddings or whatever. You know, I would obviously go on vacation or I would obviously go to weddings, but it's just like another thing you got to think about or schedule around when people start asking stuff. And so anyways, I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses, but I kind of feel like I am. So, but yeah, that's going to be it. So today is technically kind of my last stream on Twitch for a while. I need to do this for at least a month to kind of figure out like, you know, what does this new thing look like? 100% guarantee I'm still going to be working on stuff, but you know, between the stream and usually on Sunday is when I edit the stream fix. And then usually on Monday is when I do thumbnails and time codes and chapters. I'll get those 3 bits of hours back. So it's gonna be kind of fun. So yeah, Bill Nash, dude, thank you. Tier 1 sub, 26 months. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it. 26 months, 1 year. No, 2 years. 2 years, 2 months. Need to do maths. So anyways, that's kind of it. Like I'm it's not like I don't know what else to say about it. I just wanted to let people know. And like I kind of considered like not even going on the stream and like just kind of slowly like not saying anything about it other than Discord and maybe on social media. But I figured, yeah, I kind of have to. So anyways, yeah, so that's it. And like I'm not going anywhere. I'm still on Discord, still have a Discord, still have YouTube. And like I said, I still might go live. But this gives me more options to where I don't feel like I'm mentally drained. Like I could join voice chat in Discord and all the other things I used to do too. But then streaming like, takes up a huge time. And it's like an emotional like expenditure too. Like you spend a lot of energy, like mental energy streaming. And you guys probably know, like you've ever done a presentation before, or if I don't know, you've had to do public speaking, you get more comfortable over time. But at the same time, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. So anyways, I'm not complaining, and I hope this doesn't sound like complaining. You're probably like, oh man, Tim, he's just complaining. He gets to do YouTube stuff and Twitch, and now he's complaining about that. No, not. I'm just trying to rearrange a few things, just so I can kind of like, again, get stuff out faster on YouTube and kind of being a normal person on Saturday for my wife. How about that? So yeah. So anyways, that's I'm happy to answer any questions about it. I kind of talked about it in Discord too, and I put something up there. I'm happy to talk about it some more, but I'd rather talk about HomeLab stuff. But if you have something you want to share and tell me about or ask me, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. And again, like I'm not closing my Twitch account. I'm not like, I'm not disabling my account or anything like that. It'll just be there for when I want to do stuff like this, or if I feel inspired to do so about anything, kind of want to keep it open as my channel for a live stream still. So, and it doesn't mean like, hey, I might do something on YouTube live at some point too. Just gonna like stop my regularly scheduled stream. It's probably the best way to put it. And I probably could have summarized that in about 2 minutes. So anyways, so outside of that, I've been working on, that's the big thing. You're like, oh man, now I got to stream. Oh, another thing too, like, I one reason why I was considering not going on stream is because like, I didn't want people to like renew their subs or whatever, and then hear this. That was another thing where I was kind of like, oh man, if I do go live, people will renew their subs and then they're going to hear, oh, that's his last stream for a while. So anyways, so if you have a sub, I 100% understand if you cancel your sub, like zero hard feelings. I don't even, I don't see those when people cancel. So don't worry about it. If you want to spend your sub on someone else on Twitch, I totally 100% go for it. Like 100% go for it. There's so many people on Twitch too that don't get subs. So yeah, if you have a Prime sub or something else and you want to switch it to someone else, 100% go for it. Like I totally understand. I totally get that. And so, I have other, avenues to, for like YouTube memberships and Patreon. So I'm not like trying to like hoard subs here while I'm not streaming. That's not it at all. So anyways, I wanted to make that clear too, that like there is zero hard feelings if like you're like, well, he's not going to stream. Yep, I'm going to cancel it. Why wouldn't you? I guess is I'm giving you permission to do it without feeling bad. How about that? So anyways, anyways, I'd love to talk about tech stuff and HomeLab stuff. But again, I'll answer any questions that you have. I'll get to them in order. I'll just go through the questions like I normally do. And if one's like super personal about like, what the heck are you doing? Why aren't you streaming anymore? I'll answer it. And then, okay, so then outside of that big thing, I've been working forever, like I feel like on this JetKVM project, and it's not that there's something wrong with the JetKVM or that I'm like uncovering something that's there. It's just taking a really long time because I decided that, like, hey, I'm going to see if I can self-host their cloud API and their cloud service in my own environment. Because I know a lot of people think, hey, JetKVM works great local. You can use it 100% local. But there's a cloud option if you want, which makes it really nice because you can join all of your devices to their cloud service. And then from there, you can access your JetKVM anywhere in the world without opening up the firewall, which some of you say, yep, I'm out right away. I totally get it. But some of you might say, hey, that's kind of nice. How do I do that? And so that's kind of what I've been working on is like contributing some, learning their code, figuring out how to build it and deploy it, how to flash, my own JetKVM with my own stuff, and then how to self-host their cloud API as well as their cloud web host. And so that's what I've been working on. It took a long time, but I've been contributing code to that and figuring all kinds of stuff out and working with them. So it's been pretty fun. It's been fun, like, because I don't usually get to do like HomeLab projects that include code, but as soon as I saw it was TypeScript and Go and they were using Docker and, and using CI and GitHub, I was like, oh yeah, I'm here for it. So anyways, that's what I've been working on. If you didn't notice, I also have a couple of them on this 1U mount, more than a couple. And so I'm, doing some stuff so I could tie that into my own HomeLab too. And I put it through the ringer too. I put it through the ringer just like I did pikvm, like hooking it up to EasyCoo, hooking it up to HDMI splitters. So uncovered a lot of cool stuff. So hopefully that's out soon. Anyways, I'll stop talking about that stuff. Let's talk about what you're working on. And we'll kind of start at the top. So if I missed something, I just need to make sure. Bill Nash, thank you so much. Back Industries, I said that 1,000 bits. Wow, thank you so much. So let's get into it. So starting at the top, IoTME Labs. Let me grab a drink real quick. We talked about this. So this is Grocy and getting everything set up so you could basically know how and when to restock your pantry, which is awesome. And I think I said this last week, like your wife or partner or friend or whoever is doing this with you, they are I'm a fan of them because like anytime you can get people to go in with you on some crazy idea you have with tech, that's how you know it's a real friend. So, and that's how you know, that you found a good one. If it's like your wife or husband or whatever, that's pretty awesome because then they're like, yeah, I'll play along. My wife, I shouldn't say that. She absolutely would if I asked her to. But I know it would kind of how it would go. It would fizzle out because she would fall back to old habits like most of us would. Except for me, I'd be like, hey, remember we're doing the new thing. She'd be like, which new thing? You say this to me every week. So anyways, that's awesome. I'm glad you're getting it. And you should let me know how this goes over time too. Because again, like I've known about this project for 6 or 7 years and it sounds awesome. Salvares, howdy folks. Flowdash, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Flowdash, we talked about that. Been working on Ansible and updates, dist updates, reboots, netdata installs set up so far. Maybe we didn't talk about this because I don't remember this. So yeah, I've been working on some Ansible updates, dist updates. All right, reboots, netdata install setup so far. So that is awesome. So you're using Ansible to do your apt update or whatever package manager you're using. Updates, dist updates, and then reboots. Yeah, I like it. And then netdata installs. Cool. So you're installing netdata on all of those machines. I wish you could, speaking of self-hosting the cloud piece, I wish that netdata would let you self-host their cloud piece because then I could tie all of those machines in and then, get one dashboard to see it all. But anyways, netdata is a great product. You run it on each machine and you can go to that machine's IP and see tons of data about it over the net and data. But pretty awesome. That is awesome. Also, I was going to say something about, dist updates and the reboots. Yeah. Ilud, he wrote something a while ago that will do an update check to see if that machine needs to be rebooted before you reboot it. So you could add that too. I think Ilud had a playbook or a piece in the playbook that would actually check to see if the device needed to be rebooted before you just reboot them all. So might save you a step, but I like rebooting machines. I don't know. It's the Windows in me. It's the Windows in me. It's the Windows in me, being able to reboot machines. So anyways, and one thing I didn't mention, I totally forgot to mention, and I mentioned it in my Discord post really quick. Dude, thank you so much to the mods that have been doing this for so long. Like, seriously, like iLude, like PC Geek, Manny, Exor, if you guys are here, dude, thank you guys so much. Like, you guys have been here, like, for years. And so I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry, like, I didn't mention that in the very beginning. I did mention it in my Discord. But man, you guys being here for so long and taking care of the stream and like, also sacrificing your time, dude, I can't say thank you enough. So I really appreciate it. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild that you guys have been here so long, and I really appreciate it, especially in Discord and especially here. So I appreciate it. So yeah, absolutely thank, PC Geek, iLude, Manny, Exor, if you see them either here in Discord, for everything they do, because they do a lot. They do a lot for sure. Keeping people on track, and even just showing up. Even just showing up is way more than I could have ever asked for. So man, thank you guys so much. But going back to this, yeah, what are you working on? Hello, lots of hello. He's alive, Hitman. Yeah, I'm kind of alive, kind of alive. Palace Games, been starting to look into Ansible so that I can make my HomeLab. Which, we talked about this on the gaming computer. Easy to upgrade and migrate a new server when I'm ready. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Because once you solve that for one machine, updates and reboots, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, you solved it for all machines. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty great. It is great. Flowdash, question for you, Tim. Have you ever thought of doing LDAP or similar to manage your Linux systems or Linux users? Been using Authentik, but I have not tried to get LDAP to work via Authentik yet. I haven't. I think about it every now and then. So I think about it every now and then exactly for what you said is really just for user management and to be able to roll passwords really quick for one account and not have local accounts. I do have an Ansible playbook that will reset my account on all of my machines. And I've had to use it before because I've accidentally typed in my password on YouTube before. And whether or not people saw it, I had an Ansible playbook that will go and rotate, the password on every single Linux system. Anyways, that aside, I haven't yet, but I would love to at some point is basically, set up LDAP and, join machines to the domain or basically, just use, directory services. So I could use a user from an LDAP domain, and permissions, maybe. Yeah, I might manage permissions, but most likely it would be to rotate passwords and enforce passwords, and enforce some security if I can. So then you're saying, okay, have you ever set that up? And then on top of that, I want to use Authentik to use and connect to the LDAP provider. So they have a provider for LDAP that says, okay, now you can tie this Authentik user to this user in LDAP using the provider. And no, I haven't. That's a lot of stuff. So I do think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that if you use Authentik and you want to use LDAP, I guess what I'm trying to say, I don't think Authentik provides LDAP for you. I could be wrong, but I think most likely you connect it and use a provider model to connect to it. I could be wrong, but so I think if you want to do that, you have to set up LDAP too. So, but I haven't done it. It sounds awesome. I mean, maybe when I get this time back, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'd love to do it. PC Geek, right? Authentik doesn't provide LDAP, but will integrate with it. Awesome. Yeah. So if you're planning on doing that Flowdash, I think you still need to set up LDAP, and then you would connect it to. You would connect Authentik to it so you could tie the users, say that, this Authentik user is this AD user. And then you authenticate against Authentik, and then you could do all kinds of stuff. So yes, it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome for sure. Kunefi, hey, how's it going? It's pretty much the same as last week. I'm trying to find some good PAM solutions. I think I will try Teleport's self-hosted version. Do you guys have any advice for PAMs? I forgot what the acronym stands for. Isn't it I've heard of IPAMs? I assume it's like directory services or something, or some authentication, pluggable authentication module. All right, thanks, PC Geek. He is on it. So yeah, this is kind of what we were just talking about a little bit earlier. I'm sure. I mean, we were just talking about Authentik, which Authentik can like integrate with anything possible. Um, so that might work. You know, Teleport self-hosted version. So Teleport has a version too. Privilege access management. All right, I got it. There's a lot of stuff going on with that acronym, but I haven't. I'm sure a lot of people have. We were just talking about Authentik. Honestly, that's probably where I would start because again, they seem to like integrate with anything, anything possible, and they're trying to do like ID management or you know management in general. So, yeah, yeah. Oh, root at PAM, like root at PAM and Proxmox. Got it. Yeah, yeah. I always wonder why I was like root at PAM. Pluggable authentication model. Yeah, privilege access management, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so hey, thanks for the follow. There were a couple of them. Demetrius. Yeah, Demetricus. Sorry. And HP Alvarez. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it, both of you. Let's see. So I'll read the first. Another week of home assistant stuff to deal with, but power outage broke my integrations due to IP changes. So I gotta finish fixing that. Otherwise, been trying to get my darn 3D printer operational again. Finally found some time to install Nut Server on PiHole, yeah, onto my Pi 5, and I have been planning out a new Ubiquity security system for my house. Man, this is a lot going on at the Hitman house. And Ubiquity Wi-Fi for my friends. Yeah, man, this is getting awesome, man. I also managed to get my hands on enough to finish my AI server for now, so I'll be doing that soon. Man, this is awesome, man. You got all kinds of stuff going on. All the fun things for sure. Yeah, so that stinks about power outage and losing changes. I've kind of been there a few times, and sometimes it's not even a power outage. It's like, you know, I accidentally like reload a page and I didn't save something on a forum. So that stinks. And yeah, security system. I remember we were talking about this last week. Hopefully they make the right choice. They make the right choice. I think it was friends and family that you were trying to convince them. Hopefully you can convince them. But again, like at the end of the day, like they have to live with it. So, you know, if they choose something that they want, then there's either a really good reason why they want it, or yeah, they're kind of on their own to support it. So that's awesome. Good to see you, man. Salveri's been out in the yard trimming trees and doing work on the lawn. Time to relax and fix some UniFi Firewall rules. Oh yeah, that sounds so relaxing. Looking into spinning up a couple of PVE nodes and tinkering with multiple PiHole setups. Yeah, man. No, that does sound relaxing to me, especially after doing yard work. That's kind of, so Saturdays is kind of my yard work day, but I have to always break it up because of streaming, but I would do it before or after. Usually I do it after, so I could get it done before dinner, but who knows? But it is too cold here to start doing yard work. Like, we don't even have buds on the trees yet. Actually, I think some trees tried to like a couple of weeks ago, and then it's like got to -15. They're like, just kidding. not gonna try to grow leaves right now. And that's been happening a lot the last couple of years. Like the trees are like, yeah, let's grow some buds, and then they're like, oh, just kidding. Like, I'm going back to hibernation mode. So I don't know if that's good for the plants, but anyways, that is awesome. And so yeah, after doing yard work, heck yeah, man, just to kind of chill out and in a different way and do some firewall rules and play with Proxmox. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome for sure. Last stream Satan. So yeah, it is going to be for a while. It is. I think we talked about that for sure. I like the new UI of PiHole version 6. You know, oopma. So I haven't done it yet. I've been kind of dragging my feet, and that's kind of next on the list. And so I planned on, so I haven't seen it yet. I'll be honest. I haven't seen it. I've seen screenshots of it, but I didn't upgrade yet, mainly because I'm using Gravity Sync, and I knew that Gravity Sync wasn't compatible with 6. And so now to go to 6, I need to either use Nebula Sync or Orbital Sync. I think Nebula is the only one that supports 6 right now. So I'm probably going to do that. And if you're wondering, like, what the heck are you talking about? Well, I have 5 PiHole instances, and I keep them all in sync. I've done that for years. I was at 2, then I got 3, and then I went crazy and got 5 because of the co-location. So I think that's my next, like, this hardware project that I'm working on right now. I just need a break and do a software thing. So I think that's my next. It's just kind of like, okay, let's get PiHole syncing back up and refresh that video for sure, because that was fun. That was fun when I figured that out way back in the day. So, but I'll see the UI soon. Maybe in my one after the next video. So. Oh, and hey, how's it going? I love Rice too. How's it going? Have you thought about making more products for your store? If you made a desk pad, I would totally buy it. Hey, thank you. You know, I've always kind of been on the fence about desk pads. I've always been on the fence, but then again, like, I want one, because this one I have right here is super nice. But the one that's on my workbench, it's not so nice. And it got all stained up and messed up. And so I was like, man, I kind of wish I had one. And I'm always filming top down. And so I turned it over. So you see cork. Anyways, long story short, maybe, but like my other stuff, I would just want to make sure, like, it's super good value. You know what I mean? I feel like it just needs to be good quality. And if I could find that, yeah, maybe. And good design. So I'm like quality design, and it has to be nice. And people need to, like, kind of want it. So I don't know, maybe. Now I have some ideas, like dark mode on one side, light mode on the other. Who knows? But yeah, so maybe that's I think you kind of piqued my interest on doing this again, because I had the opportunity to a long time ago. I'm like, oh man, I added so many things all at once. It was really expensive, because I pre-buy everything. Like, everything that's you see in the store, like, I have inventory that's like sitting in Vermont from the guy who fulfills it and makes it. So it's when I have to add something new or make a change, I got to think about it long and hard, because I got to go buy 100, 200, 300 of them at a time. So, but anyways, I like it. Thanks for planting that seed again. Dude, hey man, did I get a raid? I thought I saw a raid off to the corner of my eye. Dude, all that for? Man, I was just watching you. Doing DevOps stuff right before the stream, because I was trying to kill 15 minutes before my stream. Dude, appreciate it, man. How's it going? 88 viewers. How's it going? Yeah, I was totally watching your stream. And you were going through Nix packaging and how to install Nix stuff. And I was like, just trying to kill time right before I went live. So appreciate it, man. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for everyone joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. It's funny, because, like, you always pop up for me, like, number one on my list whenever you're live, because Twitch, the algorithm, they're like, hey, this guy talks about DevOps stuff and coding, and this guy does DevOps and coding. So appreciate it, man. Yeah, and a clean stream, and you were talking about Nix stuff and Nix packaging, how to install, I think, Nix packages. At least that's when I tuned in. So, but yeah, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Let's see. Salvarius. Yeah, use them up. All right. Let's get in here. Hitman. Hey, got a question for Tim. As someone who can finally afford to get into UniFi and Ubiquiti stuff now, what is some advice or mistakes you have made in my footsteps? Yeah, that I have made I have made some mistakes with buying Ubiquiti stuff, and it's nothing against them. Like, I picked the wrong stuff. And so, to be clear, like, you guys know that, hey, Ubiquiti, like, I'm an affiliate of Ubiquiti. So, like, anything I say, like, you could you could throw it out and just not believe me. But I've been a fan of their products before. Like, I spent almost $10,000 with them before they even knew who I was. So, I've been all in with them for a long time. And I got receipts to prove it. But anyways, so don't take this as like, hey, this is me, like, trying to sell you on it, because I try to sell other people on it, because I think it's awesome. A lot of people are like, man, you always talk about Ubiquiti stuff and networking, and it's kind of like, well, they're the only ones doing anything interesting. Who else is doing anything interesting in this space? Like, no one. So anyway, and they're in a lot of spaces too. So anyways, I'll get off that. But hey, some advice. Well, this kind of goes back to, like, even HomeLab stuff. Like, a few times I've overbought. Imagine that. And so sometimes, I've overbought or, like, underbought, and it goes both ways. Like, I bought 3 versions of a Switch so far. It's so dumb. at first I want, hey, I want 16 port, then I want 24 port all PoE, then I want 48 port all PoE, then I want 48 port all PoE 2.5s, like, and so just kind of like I don't want to say totally future proofing yourself, because there's a ceiling to that. There's always a ceiling to future proofing, where you could overbuy to where they'll release a new product to where it's like, okay, well, now I should have just waited to buy the other product. So it's tough. It's tough. So I guess my advice is, if you have a server rack, use it. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. So they have tons of compact models that are out now that do like everything, almost every single thing that rack mount can. And I know you have a rack mount, so you're going to go rack mount. So that's tough. I would say, buy a decent size switch. Get all PoE on it if you can, because that will, that'll save you some headaches down the road. Because if let's say you bought a 24, well, 24 would be a good move. 24 PoE would be a good move, or a 24 non-PoE would be a good move too, because then you can add another 24, and then you can have a 24 and a 48. So this is not good advice. I'm just like totally just talking about it, but it's tough. It's tough. I don't know what advice I would get other than like kind of do your research, because they have a lot of options, and just think like, am I going to do PoE stuff? Probably. Am I going to do, 2.5 gigabit stuff? Maybe. And so, I actually sold that switch to PC Geek. I think he just got it today. But I ran a 48 port, 1 gigabit switch that has PoE plus and a few PoE plus 10 gig, uplinks. And that was great for me for a super long time. Like, and it's mostly great for most people all the time. And so, I know everyone wants 2.5, and it's like, hey, why wouldn't you buy 2.5 in 2025? Well, it's because they're expensive, And so even though you might have 2.5 on some of the devices that you plug in, you got to consider, how often would that machine ever use the 2.5 piece? Maybe not much. And then it's like, okay, well, if they're not transferring files back and forth and they never get close to 2.5, how else could they use it? Well, from your ISP. Well, do you have 2.5 gigabit internet? Probably not. So anyways, I'm not saying like, hey, don't consider things in the future, but when you have to make a choice, like, I got to buy 48 or 24 of these ports, always consider your audience or your clients that are going to connect to it. And so, and what I was saying about don't future-proof yourself too much is because, like, what if you bought, a 2.5, all 2.5 right now, and then who knows, like, in 2 years, like, everyone's just like, yeah, 2.5, what the heck was that all about? We're all on 10 gig, which I think is going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I think it is. I honestly think it is. I think that and I've always said this, that 2.5 is weird. It's some weird speed bump. And now you have people already doing 5 gigabit, which is even weirder, which to me seems more logical, but for some reason we went to 2.5. But now you're seeing, like, Apple won't do 2.5 or 5, I get it. Apple's Apple. They do 10 gig or they do 1 gig. And I totally get it. But I honestly think that I think we're going to get to 10 gig real quick, Ethernet wise. And that 2.5 will just be this weird point in time where we're like, remember when we did 2.5? Oh yeah. Why did we ever do that? I kind of think that because it's just a weird speed bump, because no one's selling 2.5 gigabit internet. It's 1 to 10. What do you want? 1 or 10? And that's how I think it should have been originally. But I think it had something to do with the PoE spec, and not having it, or still having it, or not having to create one for 10 gig or something. I don't know. I honestly don't know why we ever said 2.5. Just, it's a weird speed bump. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is, like, hey, like, if you don't need 2.5, don't pay for it right now. I wouldn't. And if you hold out 2-3 more years, I have a feeling that everything's just going to go to 10 gig, because they're like, why would I do 2.5? Why would I do 5? It should have been 10. Just like when we went from 100 to 1,000, a factor of 10. when we go to 1,000 to, 10,000, it should have been, 10 gigabit. So I don't know. Anyways, yeah, thoughts on NeoVIM. Oh, that's what you were installing. You said, I don't have NeoVIM installed yet, and you were installing it through Nix. I think you were doing. I don't have a lot of opinions on it. I've used a ton of editors myself. I kind of, I don't spend a ton of time text editing in a terminal. I do a ton of DevOps stuff, and I do a ton of text editing. And, when I do, it's usually VS Code. For a long time, yeah, it's been VS Code. It was, I don't even remember, IntelliJ before that. So I've written a ton of code on IntelliJ. I've written a lot of code on Visual Studio, IDE, IntelliJ, and VS Code now. And so, yeah, a ton of stuff. I didn't really do Eclipse, but the Android IDE, which is, it's Eclipse behind the scene. So I've done a ton on that too. So I don't know. I would love to be super efficient at something that's terminal based, but JetBrains for life. Oh yeah, JetBrains. Wait, do they own IntelliJ? Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So I have used it. But like I said, like I rarely need to get into a terminal and do something for a long time. How about that? Well, I take that back because I run a terminal off to the side, and I'll run like my TypeScript commands or node commands or anything or any kind of commands off to the side. So I am kind of camping out in one, but I'm usually running CLI and I'm not like editing anything. Editors in the front, VS Code, terminal that's broken up into 8 panes off to the right. And that's how I launch my database, I'll launch my port forwards into Kubernetes, and I'll do all that. And then I'll do my work in the terminal. In VS Code. So anyways, yeah, lots of things going on. Anyways, going back to that Hitman, that was a ton of advice that was probably very poor. I think the takeaway is just like, don't spend the money on 2.5 gigabit unless you really need it. That's my biggest advice. It's probably super unpopular because everybody wants faster ports, go faster. And why aren't all these ports 2.5? It's like, well, I don't really want to pay for 2.5 if I don't have anything that could use 2.5. And I feel like it's a super weird speed bump. And I think, I wish I could do like on Reddit and say, remind me in 720 days or 365. So that's 730 days that most NICs being put on high-end consumer machines will be 10 gigabit Ethernet. Now, I don't know. That's a pretty big bet, but I think it will be. I think it will. 2.5 is going to just be this weird thing, and I already bought into 2.5, so I'm like I'm invested in it. But at the same time, I honestly feel like a couple of years it's just going to be 10 gigabit, and Apple knows it. That's why they only put 1 gig or 10. They know it. Darkest Dot. Hey, darn you, caps lock. Hey, how's it going? Got to get me some of that Ansible. Yeah, for sure. Got to get me some of that Ansible too. Let's see. Run a mucker. I was down on my luck managing servers with Bash and PHP sourced SMTP notifications. Ooh-wee. Then I found Ansible. Changed my life. Yeah, Ansible kind of changed my life too. It actually gave me a lot of time back in my life, and it did. Because I was talking earlier, like I have 7 servers, all in a Proxmox cluster, all grouped kind of by, not by role, but by zone. Let's just call them zones. And so I have to do this reboot dance on all of these zones with all of these machines on them. And I used to do it all manually. And now, no way. It's all Ansible. And then I run Ansible command, Alt-Tab out, and go to the Alt-F4 stream, learn about NeoVIM, and Nix, and life is good. But anyways, yeah, I think it will change your life, especially if you do any kind of scripting, any kind of management of servers. Like if you do any of that, which a lot of people here do, yeah, it will change your life. It is that life-changing. Because you realize, wow, all those scripts I used to run, all those commands I used to run, I would have to go into the machine and do it. And now I can do it from my machine and, just do it here. That's awesome. It's awesome. It is. Playing with Pies and Proxmox VM setup ZFS share backed up Windows. Going to try PXE booting. Oh yeah, man, this is all the good stuff. So playing with Pies and Proxmox VMs, awesome. Set up a ZFS share. Wow. Backed up Windows. I don't even know how you did that. So you probably backed up your Windows machine to the ZFS share. I hope so. That sounds awesome. And then going to try PXE booting. Yeah, PXE booting. Like I remember being in tech support a long time ago and just thinking like, you know, when I first got out of college, I was in tech support. It was great. I loved it. There's so much nostalgia of tech support days back then. But anyways, I remember thinking like PXE boot is just magic. And if I ever get PXE boot at home, PXE, I've made it. And so, you know, once I once I got it set up, I was like, yeah, I made it. And then I was like, well, I mean, that was so long ago. I just thought it was like so awesome. And I always wanted PXE boot on my network so I could, you know, F12 and boot to the network and then just image all my machines. That was like the dream. Or PXE boot to an image and run that image over the network and like, hey, this thing is diskless. You know, it's awesome. Awesome. Dude, thank you so much. Penkos, hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyways, Apone, you have finally made it if you get PXE boot at home. Darkest. Oh, look, sub goal manage. You owe us all a sandwich. Yeah, all right. What kind of sandwich you want? Sandwich sounds pretty good. I right now I could go for PBJ, or I'd probably go with turkey. Roast turkey breast, Colby Jack cheese, some lettuce, and some Miracle Whip. That's I don't know. These are fighting words, but I like Miracle Whip more than mayonnaise. I do. I seriously do. And I'm probably one of the few, but I'm kind of like, you know, it's like the whip with zip. Like, why wouldn't you like it more than mayonnaise? Anyways, hey, coming here from your Homeland Services tour. Amazing. Hey, thanks. Ak, I want to say Ak. I think the H is going to be silent, so I'm going to say Danfar. Ak Danfar. That's what I'm going to say. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Services Tour is super fun because I get to talk about all the things that I'm working on. And if you saw in that video, I said, well, this year's going to be even crazier. It kind of is, and that's part of what I've been working on. More is going to change this year than it ever has before. And that's not me like foreshadowing or anything like that. It really is. It really is. Once I get this next video done. But thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, Master Raids, do you know how to configure Proxmox to be only access from a specific computer, not the entire network? I mean, you're just gonna have to use firewall. I assume IP tables or something like that. So you're just gonna have to create a firewall rule. I would assume that's gonna be like the easiest way. So I don't know. I've never done it. I don't think there's something in Proxmox that'll let you do that. But it's going to be something with your firewall. You're going to have to like turn the firewall on and on Debian on the Proxmox machine and then only allow one IP address. And so that's going to be UFD, I think, or IP tables, which sounds kind of weird too, but that would be the way. Or I mean, if you want to get super crazy, you know, you could do the whole zero trust and put something in front of it, right? So this is really complicated, but you could put something zero trust in front of it and just say that, hey, anyone coming to Proxmox has to go through this proxy. And then on that proxy, you require authentication. So it's like, okay, well, you're not blocking, you're blocking anyone from getting by that proxy. But if you have a network where someone can go straight to the machine and not go through the proxy, that kind of negates the whole thing. So, but, I would just go firewall rule. That's going to be the easiest, most straightforward way. You know, firewall rule, and make sure you don't lock yourself out. Make sure you have physical access to this thing before you do it. Because knowing me, I would have a firewall rule, and I'd get it off GPT. I'd be like, boom, yeah, all good, and then lock myself out, and I would have to drive somewhere or go in the basement. So, yeah. Oh, just for the nick with the IP. Yeah, all right, man. That's what I was thinking about. Dude, thank you so much, Fat Dad 32. Dude, 1,000 bits, man. We're seeing the wild Aqua Mega Man. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Run amucker. Yeah, IP table. Oh yeah, you guys got this. Yeah. Stop streaming on a regular scale. Oh yeah, that you were helping me out with that. Oh man. Oh man, I just found this channel, LL. Hey, I'm still gonna be around. Still gonna be around. Sunday sounds like Sunday evening is the ideal time. All right, Darkest Dottie. Yeah, he's trying to sign me up for something else. I know. It's like, oh well, I could carve time out of the time that I wasn't using before, and slide it to over there. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to kind of make decisions like that, but I'm trying it. It's a trial. I'll see how far I can stay away. uh yeah. Do you have a new schedule or just more sporadic? I would say more sporadic. At the beginning of the stream, this VOD will be up on YouTube too later. Probably Monday. Because I didn't post last week's. See, I'm even behind on doing what I should be doing for this Twitch channel, and that's kind of it's snowballing. But to answer it real quick, I'm not gonna have a normal schedule anymore, so it will be sporadic. But I'll still have my stuff on YouTube on both channels, and I'll still be in Discord, and I might hop in Discord voice and hang out with people like we used to. Just not gonna have a regular stream schedule on Saturday. How about that? Oh, let me see. Dude, thank you guys all so much. All right. Hard Forum had a topic like 2010 or so back then. Oh man, I'm missing out because I know I'm so far behind. We sure will miss the streams, but your personal life is more important than the streams. Thank you. Do what's best for you, Tim. I'm supporting your decision. Kunefi, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, I'm still gonna be here on Discord. I'm still gonna be on YouTube, just not regularly streaming. Bunny says, I get it. I've been cutting down on my YouTube watching. It just seems like it's getting in the way of other things I need to do or like to do. Hey, I hear that. Here. Because same with me. Being on YouTube, I not only watch other channels just because I like them, but watch other channels to know what they're doing, or watching other channels because they inspire me to do better on my own channel. So it's like I have this weird three, trifecta of YouTube, like categories of YouTube videos I like to watch. And when you have a tab open right here, it's just so easy to click on that tab and open it up. So I don't know. I feel like cutting the internet off to this machine, and this is my editing machine, and there is zero internet. But it would actually be counterproductive because it would take me much longer to figure out the problems that I need to figure out. So yeah, we're keeping internet on this machine. That was easy. That was easy. Make sure to take care of yourself. You can't give what you don't have. Yeah, self-care first. I appreciate it. Agreed. Thank you. Love your YouTube videos. Been sharing them at work as well. Dude, Lakshay Set. Now I got to get this right. Lakshay Set. That's what I'm going with. Dude, I appreciate it, man. Look at that avatar. That's so nice. Dude, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, sharing. So YouTube has an algorithm and it feeds people that watches, right? And so the YouTube will when channels, how am I trying to say this? So everyone knows YouTube has an algorithm, and the way it kind of works is they try to find people that are like your current subscriber base and slowly push those videos out and see how they perform. And if they perform well with that first tier, they go out third, fourth, fifth until someone's seeing your video that's never seen you before, and which is awesome. But it all depends on video performance. Why am I talking about this? Because when you share my channel, or a channel, I shouldn't even say mine. When you share a channel on YouTube and you introduce that person to someone they've never seen before, that helps the algorithm know then that, hey, there's this another group of people that I should probably also target. Anyways, I just want to say thank you. And that's like an algorithm hack. Is when you share my channel with people who have never seen it before and they subscribe, that's totally an algorithm hack. And it's helping YouTube understand, okay, well, that person liked that person enough to share it. So they must be doing things other people like too. So anyways, that's how my brain works. Woody, hey, Tim, I'm working on a bigger project, which I would love to share with you, but would be too much to do it here. So I'll send you a DM or mail of my story. Curious what your thoughts are on my project. Have a good night and day. See you later. Woody, yeah, for sure. Or I would, if you want to get more feedback too, I would say, man, let's put it in Discord. I would love to see it on Discord. Not just because hey, it's easy to communicate there, which it is. It's way faster than email. But you're going to get a lot of great opinions that aren't mine. And, I think together in our Discord, we cover a lot of bases, and we have a lot of different backgrounds. So, if it's something you want advice on, I would say, yeah, let's throw it into Discord. We have a channel called My Projects. Love to see it there. Or what's the other one? Oh, no, HomeLabs. No. Yeah, My Projects would be, or community projects. Either one of them would be totally fine with me. So we can just get a thread going and talk about it. Sup nerds, Bill Nash. Yeah, I saw that earlier. I didn't see that piece earlier, but dude, appreciate it. How's it going, man? Yeah, dude, iLude's on it. That's exactly what I was talking about, man. I should have read it. Dude, appreciate it, iLude. Appreciate all you do. Same piece of geek. I know you guys are both in here. Or just live stream on YouTube for an hour and don't worry about the rest. Yeah, that is true. That is true too. Yeah. And so I don't want to rule that out too. Like there's always that. Like, I could hop on YouTube for an hour and do this and then kind of be done with it. Honestly, that would reduce all the other stuff, because then I would just not have to edit the stream because it's already there. So yeah, now I'm like signing myself up for stuff. It doesn't reduce the prep. It doesn't reduce the prep and the time and a little bit of the time after. Like after the stream, I'm just kind of like stare at the wall because I'm like, I've like used so much mental capacity. Like if you've ever tried to like think on your toes for a really long time, it's really exhausting. And so it's fun. It's absolutely fun. Like I get a rush doing this, but afterwards I'm like, oh my gosh, like my brain, like, cause I'm like carving new patterns in my brain, cause I'm kind of talking to humans, but not really. And so I don't talk to humans that often. So when I do, it's like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Anyways, I like it. Hi, everyone. Sorry getting here. We stream on YouTube and I'm not leaving Twitch. I'm not, and YouTube, I'm not touching anything with that. But I might stream there too. For sure. Let's see. Oh, wow. Sigor, about a year ago, you helped me connect my two UDM pros together. I had to recently reset one of them and they're not connected anymore. How can I fix this? Ooh, Sigor, I'm trying to think. I helped you connect my two UDM pros together. With Site Magic. Yeah, I was thinking failover too. I was thinking like is this shadow mode? Like, I think so. If it's shadow mode, but I think that if it's shadow mode, with both things, there should be kind of a wizard to do that. If it's shadow mode, you'll do that inside of the network, inside the gateway piece. But if it's Site Magic, which is their SD-WAN, you'll do that in the Site Manager piece. And I think that's what we set up with Site Magic, because I was talking about how awesome it was. If it's not, I apologize. But Site Magic, you know how you have the network application, and then you could kind of go out to like your controller, the UDM itself. That's kind of where you want to be. And then you'll see an icon that's like, hey, these are my sites that are part of the SD-WAN. And what you'll see is that your old, Site Magic site, home, whatever it is, will be disconnected, and you'll probably see one of your UDMs not there. And you could do two things. You could delete one of them and re-add it, or figure out why it's not working. If it's not working, that's odd because it works a couple of ways. But as long as one has a public IP, then they can communicate with each other. Because I think you end up proxying through UniFi stuff if they can't reach each other, like if they're behind a firewall. But I think, David Kopp, I like that too. Yeah, restore from backup. That's even better. So yeah, I like that. But if you want to try to reconfigure Site Magic, that's where you go. And there's no harm in like deleting one and then re-adding it. And so that'll work. And then, like you said, David, restore from backup. I like that. Restore from backup. If you have a backup from, last week and you haven't touched anything, no harm, no foul. I've done that before too. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think weekly backups is what it runs. And so you want to do the whole controller. It's going to take a little bit longer, but that's the best way to go, is do the whole controller rather than just the network application. Because you might restore that and you're like, it still doesn't work. What the heck? So you might need to bite the bullet and do the little bit longer restore. But we're talking like, 5 minutes versus 2, So Anyways, I like it. Thanks for the help on that one. I appreciate it. Bill Nash. So I smoked the motherboard on the RV's Ryzen 2950 lab machine somehow. Yeah, we're just thinking about that. Your RV lab. Ordered a replacement. Finally got it swapped out. Taking the opportunity to swap in Proxmox and retiring ESXi because Broadcom. Yeah, man. Added in Raspberry Pi 5 running Home Assistant, and now it's DC powered core for automating new sensors and toys for the whole RV, down to tire pressure sensors. That is awesome. I like it. So now you can have your tire pressure in Home Assistant and then set up alerts when it's low. Oh yeah, that is awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, I would love to tie pretty much everything into Home Assistant, mainly because, I could track it over time and get metrics, but mostly for alerts. That's where it really shines for me. It's fun to look at the charts and see like, oh, the humidity went up and down, not gonna, change my life. It's interesting, but getting alerts can change my life because I have them set up for like water leak sensors and all of that. And, they never go off unless like we accidentally spill water. And then I'm like, like if you ever want to scare someone, like especially in a house, like a dad, or if you're a dad, you just, if you ever want to scare someone, you just like, hey, what's all this water doing here? And you will instantly see someone just jump up and freak out. So if you want to freak out your dad or your friend or anyone, oh, there's nothing that freaks out like a homeowner more than water. So if you're like, yeah, what's all this water down here and where's it coming out of? You'll see someone jump up faster than anything. Yeah, or broken thermostat. Yeah, for sure. Anyways, Bill Nash, that is awesome. I was thinking about your RV lab just the other day, and I think there were pictures in Discord, and I was like, I wonder if he's still doing it, because I remember there was like a big conundrum, or you're like, it's over. I think, and so now I'm glad to hear it's back. Oh man. Hello. Hey, how's it going? Your rubber duck is way too small. I know it is small. I apologize. It is small. So spoiler alert. What I think I'm going to also do is, create a 3D printable version of my dark mode duck. I got one right here. So that, anyone can print it out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not good at like designing stuff. So I'll probably hire someone that could design it for me and make it exactly like the one I sell so that anyone can print it out. So yeah, and that's what I want to do. So spoiler alert, I haven't done that, but I thought about that over Christmas and see, I haven't been able to get it to it yet. So anyways, I will, yeah, it's not the size of the duck that matters. It's what you do with it. Yeah, spoken like a true champ. That's a great project. Would love to locally host JetKVM cloud. So this is going back to like I was saying, hey, I have all of these, JetKVM devices that I'm working on. Oh, hopefully this doesn't break anything, but I have quite a few of them on this 1U slot right here. And my dog is like, what are you doing? All right, puppy. And yeah, so I've been contributing code back to that project, the JetKVM project, for both. There's a lot going on in the JetKVM as far as software goes. And my next video is going to kind of break that down, but there's more than I thought. And like, man, they've created a pretty good little ecosystem. Like the JetKVM itself is running a version of Linux that they manage, and then they deploy this Go API to it to kind of control the machine, to control that OS. Then they deploy the UI to it, so you can get to it locally and then control the Go API, which controls the Linux image. And then they have the Cloud Web UI, which is hosted, in their cloud. And then they have the Cloud API, which is also hosted in their cloud. And again, like that whole piece, you could cut that off. You could block it from the firewall, and I think you should. And it still works. But I figured out how to self-host that other piece, which it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I mean, you could see it now. I don't mind. It's I mean, you don't want to connect your device to this, and actually you can't right now because you can't right now because the way there needs to be an update for JetKVM before you can. But when you see that, that's because of me helping them and working with them on stuff. But anyways, yeah, you can. It's a kvm-app.com www.technotim.live. And that's where I'm self-hosting the JetKVM cloud API. And you could authorize and try to add your device, but your device isn't going to work because you don't have the option to change your cloud endpoint, but you will soon. So anyways, that's yeah, so it's pretty soon it's going to be TimKVM. That was kind of my goal for this video, was to get rid of their logos and do something, kind of cheeky and just call it TimKVM or something, Techno KVM, and put in my logo. But that piece hasn't been released yet for me to be able to modify it. So I'll do that in the future too. Probably just for laughs, on socials. But yeah, it is fun and cool for sure. That is one off a cool project, one of the cool projects. Yeah, it is. It is so cool. I mean, I can't wait to share this all with you because I really went super in depth. Like I was talking about earlier, everything from breaking this down to what are the software pieces that are involved? How much of it really is open source? Can I connect it to an EasyGoo switch and control 4 machines? Can I use it locally with a keyboard and mouse and a hub while still using it over the web? So all of those things that I kind of put most KVMs through, I put this through too, and did really well. I will say. That's going to be this week for sure. Did I just do this? This is what happens when I click on stuff and then click off. My current project are cars. I think. Whoa. Are ACARs of various types, and AD is also a PiKvM for the Trig G4 Mini PC. There's so much going on in there. I feel like you have your kid on your lap, and while you're typing, they're smashing keys. So I'm sorry, Bankos. My current projects are, I think, are various types of. Oh man, various types, and also a PiKvM, G4 mini PC. All right, that's awesome. Like I said, I feel like you have a 1-year-old and he's just bashing on the keyboard while you're typing. But anyways, that is awesome. I got out of there PiKvM, which I freaking love. I have one over here, and G4 mini PC. I'm all over mini PCs too, and that's a great combo. That's kind of where these KVM devices shine is on PCs that don't have a way to remote control them, prior to them having an operating system on them. And so, yeah, it's fun. Raisin Girl, but it's a lot. Yeah, I think we're going back to, it's so exciting to learn. Yeah, whoa. Sorry, I missed a couple. I'm jumping over stuff. It's just so exciting to learn. Yeah, for sure. I agree, but it's a lot. I agree. There's too much to learn, and there's too much there's just a lot going on. And so you always got to pick your, pick the stuff you want to learn. And I agree. My Pi is still my first love. Oh yeah. Also still learning it. Haha. Yeah. It's, that's a great way to get started. I think that's how a lot of people got started getting into this, and even getting into Linux. If you think about how many people were introduced to Linux from a Raspberry Pi, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling because they were the one of the very successful projects that put Linux first, and so it's pretty awesome. I still have my Pi 2B in that drawer, and I think I'm gonna donate it. But I'm always is there one more thing I could do with it? And so I have a 3B and I have a 4, and I have 3 CM4s. And so it's do I really need my 2? I used to have the matching cases for all of them, and I would line them up. I even have the Pi Zero. It had the same matching case, the Zebra, I don't know, clear case that's acrylic. I love it. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I love my Pis too. They kind of do at TechnoTim. You can set up a small stream in one device. You only need to go one web URL and you'll see all your devices. Oh yeah, Flowdash. Yeah. This is the cloud API. And that's what I was talking about. It's now I'm hosting that. You can actually go see it. I'm not. Yeah. Don't join your device to it, even if you figure out how. You currently can't unless you check out a dev branch and recompile it and deploy it to your devices, which I've been doing. All of my JetKVMs. All of them, I have quite a few, are doing that now on a branch that I created and cherry-picked their commits off of. Anyways, and so now I'm self-hosting it. And you can see it it's, like I said, it's kvm-app.technotim.live. And then the API is on kvm-api.technotim.live. And if you go there, you're probably going to get, you'll probably get a 200 OK, and it'll just say OK, which I'm going to change because you shouldn't allow a get on that endpoint by default. They need to fix that too. I'll probably fix it. I should get a 401. Like, get out of here. You don't have a token. So anyways, yeah, it's awesome. The best time to run Ethernet is when it's being built. Yeah, sadly, after the fact, it gets more challenging the older the house is. I agree. Depending on the design, you might have to get creative. Hey, yeah, I've been there. Yeah. I mean, this home that I'm in is 100 years old. So you can imagine, the walls aren't even thick enough to put vents in. I don't have forced air heating. We have radiators here. And that's just because how they heated stuff in Minnesota back then. They still do. It's really efficient. I actually like radiators now. At first, when we bought the house, I was like, I don't know anything about radiators. Like, what am I going to have to do to it? Like, what happens if something breaks or like water leaks? Well, it's never happened. The only water leak that ever happened is because I accidentally cut a pipe when I was running Ethernet. So anyways, yeah. And then, you have to get creative for sure. For sure. I still want to get a fiber line down from here to my basement just because, I trust fiber a little bit more than my Cat 5e that's been in my basement for, 8 years that I ran. That was the cheapest stuff I could possibly find, 8 years ago. So I still kind of want to run fiber. But I can't follow the same path I did before. And because there's too many turns. And I've debated like drilling a hole in the corner of the floor, but I'm like, that's going too far. Like, I can't do that. I mean, I could easily fill it up with wood, something when I leave, but I'm just like, something in me says, I don't even like putting holes in the walls. I can't put a hole in the floor. So anyways, it's, you're going to have to get creative and you're going to have to make some sacrifices. PC Geek, excitedly awaiting the time when I swap out my old Aruba PoE switch to the new one. Yeah, UniFi Pro PoE switch. Yeah, he bought that one from me. Yeah, he just got it today. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. It was my first 48 port switch. Let's put it that way. And it's a beast. It's a beast. So I think you can power like up to 700 watts through that whole switch because it has PoE and PoE++. So I think it's like up to 700 watts or 680 is the power. I forget what it's called. Like the amount of power it can, like the pool of power it can use. Semi-unfinished basement, and the house was built in the late 60s. Oh yeah, man. So you have a mid-century home. Yeah, I'm jealous, man. So mid-century homes, I love because they're usually like a rambler, really long, and they're usually one floor. They can be more. And they usually have a really long basement too. And it's like, man, that's like my dream home. It has to have mid-century. Basically like the Brady Bunch house is kind of what I want. That's kind of dating me because that was old even when I was young. But just mid-century home, 50s, 60s, even getting into 70s, just a rambler basically is what I want next. So I'm in a old craftsman. That's what they call them. Yeah, open ceiling. But yeah, going back to what you're saying, yeah. So if you have an unfinished basement, that's awesome too. That's how ours is. And so once you get the cords down, then you could do whatever you want to do. And that's kind of what I did. I ran my cables up from here into the attic, and then it went over that way to the bathroom, because in the bathroom they had the stink pipe. I don't know what else to call it, but the pipe that lets the gases out, and I could follow that all the way down to get into the basement. And then once I get in the basement, it's like free reign. So that's the way I went because it was actually easier than going down. So if you have a multi-floor and you have an open basement, doubt you have all this, and you have an open attic, yeah, try to get to the attic and then try to get to the pipe, the stink pipe. I don't know what else to call it. The pipe that, lets out the sewer gases or whatever, and then go down to there, tie a weight on it and try to drop it down, the hole and get it into there, because then you can go over to where you want to be. But it's a lot more fun when you don't have stuff built. That's for sure. Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Ilud, yeah, you too, man. Appreciate it. I think I'm going to skip a little bit because I think this is a lot of stuff from earlier and a lot of comments. Xander, hey, thanks. You seem to be interesting, and I'm going to follow and see. DevOps, don't disappoint. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. How about that? I have used Visual Studio so much. Me too. I mean, going back to like, I think 2007, and then 2010 SP1, SP2, and then like, I don't know. I've used a lot of Visual Studios. I was so glad though. Like I learned to program using Visual Studio, which was great to get started, but at the same time, I like learned the Microsoft way of doing stuff, which isn't all bad, but you kind of learn like the Microsoft way, and so, there are a lot of things I like didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes, like even compiling stuff in your build file and all of this stuff. Meanwhile, people outside the Microsoft are using make files and all this stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea. I just open up Visual Studio and I hit F5, and that's how I debug. And, it was great to get started. And it's still great to this day to be able to do interactive debugging right there. But I think once you get to a certain point, if you ever change, it's kind of hard to like, oh, what else is out here? So like I was using it for JavaScript for a while, and then I was like, this is not the right tool for JavaScript. And that's kind of when I went over to WebStorm, which is IntelliJ. And then I bought a WebStorm license to do that. So anyways, yeah, man, I love it. I heard this week that Warp AI terminal one seems interesting for the terminal space. Yeah, so Warp Dev, it's a terminal with some AI stuff. That's pretty cool. Looks super flashy. They released the Windows version this week, I heard too. So yeah, it was awesome. You bought a JetBrains license? I did, Gamer Garland. Piracy is free. It is. No, the reason why I did it is because like there was some weird thing where it was like get 3 years of updates of WebStorm, so the one that solely focused on JavaScript and CSS, basically web dev, for like $99 for 3 years. And I was like, okay, like Visual Studio is like so hard like to use with JavaScript. It's just not the right tool at the time. Might be now. And then Eclipse was the open source version of that. But that like didn't have any of the IntelliSense stuff that you need. And like, I remember we were using what was it? Bower to install packages. Man, this is kind of dating me too. Like NPM wasn't taking off yet, but NPM was only there for dev dependencies, and you would use Bower for the front end dependencies. This is getting weird. And then like gulp builds, I didn't understand gulp stuff. And so yeah, this is like throwback JavaScript development. So yeah, I did pay for WebStorm mainly because it knew how to run my gulp build tasks too. Like it was like, oh, this is great. Now every time something changed, it can run, it'll just rebuild my code and I can look at it. But yeah, I agree. Piracy is definitely free, but I don't know. I can't remember. I got a good deal on it. Is it really automated if you have to monitor? Inquiring mind, I like that. No, I guess not. But I always had a rule, like when I would automate stuff, like the very first time I get to kind of watch it, and that's going back to like writing, shell scripts for Windows machines or automated installers for MSIs back in the day. That's how we used to deploy software as tech support was, write wrappers around MSIs with 1 billion flags and ship some files. And so I always, when I got to work, I was like, okay, I get to watch this run and install Office for 90 minutes straight. But after that, no, yeah, you can watch it once. After that, then you're just wasting time. It probably takes faster though, right? It's probably faster though to watch than it was to do before. No one will ever need more than 10 gigabits on end devices. Bill Gates, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, to this day, do I? I haven't yet. I mean, so I do a lot of, my editing videos, 4K. I'll have multiple 4K things. I think it only spikes to around 2 gigabits per second, 3, so at least like, in my workflow, I don't, that's going to change obviously over time. But for my workflow, flow, I don't, but it'll change. It will absolutely change because you know, just like we'll have maybe one day, I don't know, 100 gigabit Ethernet, you know, or internet from your ISP. Who knows? That's a lot of stuff though. but I sound like, you know, I'd be a fool to say we'll never need more than yada 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 for any tech, because the moment you say that, you look back 5 years and like, what was I thinking? 256 megabytes of RAM? Yeah, that's plenty, man. That is plenty. Oh man, go big or go home. I love it. I love it. All right, let me look for a couple that are like looking stuff. Cam. I'm gonna go with committees. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna make it sound fancy. Committees. I also finally got my integration up and running for our electric water boiler. I like it. We live off grid, and now the water temperature is regulated by both the current home battery percentage and also the next day's predicted solar production. Oh yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. So two things, couple things going on there. One, you're off grid on solar. That's awesome. That's like the dream for a lot of people. For me, sometimes it is. It's just like, you know, living off grid out in the country, but I have a really good internet connection. So anyways, that's awesome. And then, yeah, electric boiler. Okay. I'm digging this. And then, the temperature is regulated by the battery. So your boiler says like, hey, how much battery life do we got left? And it'll say like, oh, you're at 40%. And then it says, okay, well, how much sun are we getting tomorrow? And the sun could say, well, you're only going to get 10% sun. So then it just decides like, okay, well, I'm only going to heat the water this much, or, you know, try to save some. So that is pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. I wonder what controls all this. So got to have some controller. Like, I don't know anything about solar, but there's got to be some brains behind it, to switch, to switch where the power goes. But that is awesome. So you either have to centralize the thing that knows about the sun and how much sunlight you're going to get, or each thing is smart on its own, which maybe your boiler is. So that sounds awesome. Who touched the thermostat? I hear you. I'm still on the road full time. The Home Assistant add-on gave me a lot of power monitoring and control to tighten up my power usage. Super useful after the battery upgrades. That is awesome. So on the road full time, Home Assistant add-on. Oh, so this is going back to the RV. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I see. It's like between an RV, living in an RV, and living out in the country off grid. I'm just like, yeah, sign me up. Can I take my RV out to the country? Yeah, that's what I'll do. Sign me up. Sign me up, and just make sure I have a good internet connection. That's all. That's all that I ask. That's all that I ask. Oh man. So let's see. Bankos. I kind of, yeah. So sorry. I'm just reading stuff out. I just want to make sure that I'm addressing stuff that let's see. Because I'm getting close to the end. I actually went overtime, big time, but I figured, hey, if this is like my last one for a little bit, I will. Absence low. Yeah, I struggled transitioning from Windows using VS to Linux and everything being terminal-based. Dude, that's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. And that's exactly what I went through. Like, I had a job for a long time. Like, I was, you name it. Like, I've done a ton of stuff in IT. But then I became a software developer at a certain point, and I learned how to write, VB and C# on Microsoft Stack on Windows in VS Code. And then I wanted to learn how to do front-end development and node development. And that was like, whoo, that was so hard to do. That transition was so hard because the IDE was so powerful that it did so many things for you. And so I was like, it got really hard. Like you're saying, like switching over to Linux and open source stuff, it was really hard. I've done that transition. I just remember thinking what is the magic that's going on in VS Code so I can do this from a terminal? You know what I mean? Because you had your build config and all of that stuff, and you could have your build config, build your MVC web app, and then you name it, all that stuff, and then serve out your web page that you're working on. It was just so confusing. And then I made that jump over at the same time as like jumping over to open source on a Mac on a new IDE, and then, you know, doing it the Linux way because Mac OS was closest to the Linux way that I could do in a corporate environment. So it was tough. It was tough. But now it's I'm glad I did, because like you just learn so much more when you start doing stuff in a terminal. Like, I'm not saying you have to live in a terminal forever. Like, there's a reason there are GUIs, because they're great. They're you know, they're approachable. They're visual, and not everyone is a, you know, do everything from a terminal type person. I'm a do all of some stuff in a terminal, and then, you know, actually edit in an IDE. So I don't even open up the terminal in VS Code. Like, I don't even use that one. Like, I've used it, you know, a handful of times just because, but I always have, you know, iTerm or whatever. And if it's, you know, if it's Mac, it's iTerm. If it's Windows, it's the Windows terminal. You know, I always have that open to the side so I can run any of my build commands, any of my stuff, any of my tests and all of that, or, you know, port forward to Kubernetes and, you know, connect to my databases and all that, run Redis. And so, yeah, it's, you know, it's, you know, you just kind of got to pick what you want to do. I don't know. But anyways, that transition was super hard. But once you do it, it's like, man, I learned so much. Like, you making that jump, I learned so much about open source and just how things work outside of the Microsoft world. Again, it's not bad because we need it, and things need to be written in C#, and there are lots of business apps that run on .NET. But doing that transition, it opened my eyes to so many things. I mean, really opened my eyes to Linux more than anything, because then I was like, oh, everything runs on Linux, like everything, like, you know. And so when I do CI stuff, oh yeah, I'm in Linux. When I do Docker stuff, oh yeah, I'm in a Linux container, you know. And so yeah, it was super eye-opening. I learned so much. I learned so much doing that transition. It was hard though. It was hard. I'm like, how do I set up my environment? Which is still like, it's still ridiculously hard. Like, dev containers now made setting up environments pretty cool. I started using dev containers, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. When I started on the JetKVM project, I'm like, they have a dev container, sweet. Now I get to learn about it. Really awesome to be able to have a Docker container that has all of your dependencies in it, that any developer can just start on your project, run the dev container, and they're inside of that dev container with all the dependencies installed, and it just works. And so I didn't need to install Go. I didn't need to install Node, a specific version, because the dev container already had all of that defined. I was like, yeah, this is like what I needed 10 years ago, instead of whatever the product was from Vagrant. Yeah, Vagrant. Nothing against Vagrant, but I think that's what they were trying to solve. And I think like it's solved more elegantly now with dev containers. So anyways, I'm talking about all kinds of stuff, like dev stuff and all kinds of stuff. I didn't even read this one. Funny enough, connectors for monitor screens are well into the tens of gigabytes already. Gigabits already. I think HDMI 2.1 is 18 gigabits. That count? Yeah, no, yeah, that definitely counts. And Thunderbolt is 40 gigabit per second. You're right. And USB-C 3 is like 2 gigabits per second. So yeah, that counts. Why not? Yeah, I'll count it. But yeah, so you're right. That's a good call. So screens are in the tens of gigabits. Yeah. And then, yeah, Thunderbolt 3 and 4, which is weird. Yeah, there's a weird backstory on 3 and 4. It's not an upgrade, 3 to 4. It's just like, we added a couple more features, but we're going to bump the major version. But still, people use 3 because it's a lot cheaper and does more than 4 anyways. 40 gigabit you get there. So I got to ask, do you think we'll ever have more than a 64-bit OS? Doesn't that allow for a future with a ton of RAM in the future? Yeah, I assume it'd be 128-bit. We're never going to need that. That's what they said with 32-bit. That's what they said with 16-bit. Yeah, it would just be more addressable space, I assume. More addressable space. You know, I don't know what the limits are of 64-bit and RAM. I'm sure it's a lot, but I'm sure like supercomputers are like, I mean, you know, they're using a different processor architecture anyways, but I'm sure we'll get to it someday. I mean, if you think of like how much like VRAM just ballooned in the last 5 years with AI stuff, and now it's like ridiculous amounts of like RAM you just need to hold an LLM in there. You know, and then however that landscape changes to be not just VRAM, and you could use system RAM, and now you need, you know, a terabyte of system RAM, which is still addressable by 64-bit. I don't know where the end of it is. but I think so. Will I see it in my lifetime? I don't know. That's a lot. 16 million terabytes for 64-bit. Okay. And it goes, yeah, I don't think I'll see that in my lifetime. I might hear about it, from some supercomputer somewhere that's doing something that needs 16 million terabytes of RAM. That's a lot. That's a lot of money too, if you think about it. I mean, even if the stick was, I don't even want to think about the math on that one, but you're looking at least at $16 million, because I will say that, it's probably $1 per, terabyte. So, which is on the cheap, which is on the not even realistic end. So anyways, hey, thank you all. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. There was a ton of stuff going on, and man, I really appreciate it. If you missed a little bit earlier, I was saying, hey, I'm not going to have a regular scheduled stream anymore for the foreseeable future. Just to be able to kind of have a little bit more time to focus on my YouTube stuff, because one of my big goals for 2025 was to get content out faster. And so, unfortunately, that was one thing that was on the chopping block that I didn't even think was a week ago. But the more I thought about it, and the more I thought about even like streaming today, I wanted to do it. I love doing it. And I have a ton of fun doing it, because I get to talk about stuff I don't get to talk about anywhere else. It still takes up a chunk of my time that I'd love to be spending on, like, even hanging out with my wife or working on more content. So anyways, I still will be on YouTube. I'll still be there. I'll randomly hop on here sometime. But I'll be doing more Discord voice too. A lot of informal stuff. So I would love, wow, I like that. Whoa, I'm gonna put this on the screen. There's a lot going on there. I like it. McGurk's Tweak Town method. Now, I like it. There's a lot going on there. I really like the guy that's playing the guitar like this. It's like he's at Chuck E. Cheese. Anyways, there's a lot going on there. There's squats in there. Oh man. Anyways, that is awesome. Like I was saying, like, hey, I would love for you to join Discord if you haven't already. That's where I hang out. That's where I was right before the stream. That's where I was, in the morning. That's where I was last night. So I'll always be there. Might have some informal, voice chats going on there, voice and video, somewhere we can just talk about stuff and make it more of a two-way conversation in real time. So if you want to join, I would love for you. It's !Discord here, or just search it. It's partnered Discord, so it's easy to find. So anyways, I won't be back next week, but I will be back sometime. So anyways, I appreciate you guys and all that you've done, and man, it's been wild. So anyways, I'll still be everywhere else. I really appreciate all the support, and who knows, maybe in a week I'll say, hey, yeah, I've carved out some other time, or I got 10x more efficient and I can be back. So, but I got to give it a go. I got to give it a go and see if it makes any changes. If it doesn't make any changes, I'm just going to come right back. So anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of the Saturday, and be good to each other. Take care, folks.